to another episode of Versus. In today's matchup, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn's flagship, the Chimera, an Imperial I Star Destroyer, versus the flagship of the United Federation of Planets Starfleet, the USS Enterprise NCC-1701-D, a Galaxy-Class Starship. To begin with, we're going to compare these two ships in multitude categories, with special categories being singled out as being important to the matchup. So to begin with, let's compare these ships in size. They are roughly equal in size, the Chimera being 1600 meters long and the Enteprise-D being 42 decks tall. Other measurements I do not have at my disposal, but based off of overlays I have seen of the Galaxy-Class Starships and Imperial Star Destroyers, they are roughly equal in size. As for speed, in this important category, it is to be noted that the Chimera has a hyperdrive unit, while the Enterprise has a warp drive, and the Enterprise uses impulse engines as opposed to the Chimera's sublight engines. I'm going to give speed to the Enterprise because they can travel at warp speeds, which means they can actually fly, travel, and fight at faster light speeds, unlike the Chimera, because it's nearly impossible to travel and fight in hyperspace between two ships. Not to mention, there's no way these two ships could really actually be at the same, both in hyperspace or both at warp at the same time. But more important is maneuverability, which also goes to the Enteprise-D, as Star Trek ships, specifically Starfleet ships, are shown to be highly maneuverable on screen, as opposed to Star Destroyers, which are shown to have the maneuverability of an ocean-going warship, for comparison. As for weapons, in this category, it is actually going to be going to the Chimera, and I'll tell you why. The Chimera has 60 TAM and back XX-9 heavy turbolaser batteries, 60 Durasteel NK-7 ion cannons, 6 dual heavy turbolaser turrets, 2 dual heavy ion cannon turrets, 2 quad heavy turbolasers, 3 triple medium turbolasers, 2 medium turbolasers, and 10 Pylon 07 tractor beam projectors. While the Enterprise only has 12 phaser arrays, though I have seen 14, though I suspect that's only possible during saucer separation, all of which are powered by 10 phaser banks. And also 2 torpedo launchers which can fire up to 5 torpedoes at a time. And the Enterprise has a complement of 250 photon torpedoes, which are roughly equivalent of a photon torpedo, though I suspect they have a little more impact, slightly better but roughly equal. The Enteprise-D also has hundreds of antimatter mines at their disposal. But the Chimera is definitely heavier armed, and the placement of those weapons due to the wedge-shaped nature of the ship allows for better focus fire on a single target. As for defense, the two ships are equal, with both having shields equally capable of defending against energy-based and projectile-based weaponry. And just to say, lasers in Star Wars are not lasers in Star Trek. They're more of a plasma. Lasers in Star Wars are more plasma-based. If anything, the plasma is ionized by a laser, which I think is how the term laser comes from. While lasers in Star Trek are just really light and highly focused energy, but not as powerful as a phaser. For support craft, the Chimera has 72 standard TIE fighters and 8 Lambda-class shuttles, with also the possibility of TIE defenders, bombers, and interceptors in its hangar base, and also numerous Imperial walkers which are of no relevance to this battle. The Enteprise-D's complement of support craft is more unclear, but they have at least 8 shuttlecraft and at least 1 Danube-class runabout, along with the captain's yacht, along with 3 shuttle blades, 1 being larger than the other 2. So I'm guessing they have actually at least 3 Danube runabouts, and also at least 14 shuttlecraft, at least. though their combat capabilities are not as good as TIEs, especially when comparing numbers. The shuttlecraft have shields and have computer-assisted targeting systems. Now on to the crew complement, which is only important during boarding actions, where the Chimera has over 46,000 crew members. Of those, 9,700 of them. So that's 9,700, 9,700, so 9,700 stormtroopers. The Enteprise-D has somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 crew members. So let's say for this matchup it's about in the middle, though it can actually hold a lot more, but that's only important during boarding actions. Now let's talk about leadership. The Chimera is led by Grand Admiral Thrawn, while the Enterprise is led by Captain Picard with its first officer, Commander Riker, the second officer, Lieutenant Commander Data, the Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander LaForge, the Security Chief and Tactical Officer, Lieutenant Commander Worf, along with Dr. Crusher as the Chief Medical Officer, and Dan Choi as the Counselor. And also, even though I'm suspecting at the time I'm placing this battle for the Enterprise, Chief Miles O'Brien is over on DS9. Let's say he's there as a transporter chief, should it be noted. But I still think the Chimera has a better leadership overall with Grand Admiral Thrawn, though I would say it is close. As for some special notes, is that the Enteprise-D is capable of separating its saucer section from its drive section to either protect the civilians or to attack from multiple angles. Also, the Enterprise has transporter technology with a total of 20 transporter rooms, which might be a special benefit during the matchup. Now, time for the actual matchup. To get these two ships to meet, the Enteprise-D is exploring a newly discovered nebula when they encounter a subspace rift and are subsequently drawn in our transporters through space and time, and potentially dimensions, to reach the outer reaches of the Galactic Empire sometime after the Battle of Athlon as seen in Star Wars Rebels, but before Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. As the Chimera is the closest ship to the Enterprise, Thrawn, with himself in command, sends it to investigate the disturbance in the Imperial sensor net used to find some rebels that the Enteprise-D set off, expecting a confrontation. When the Chimera arrives in the system, Thrawn realizes that the disturbance was not caused by a rebel ship. But no, it was not. Instead, he orders his crew to hail the mysterious ship we know as the Enterprise. Meanwhile, over on the Enterprise, Captain Picard has ordered his ship to figure out where they are and how they got there, when all of a sudden a large wedge-shaped ship, about 30% larger than the Enterprise, I just created that number off the top of my head, enters the system. Curious, Captain Picard orders Worf to hail the ship. At the same time, the Enterprise is receiving Thrawn's hail. So they answer each other's hail? Go for it. So Thrawn and Picard's conversation goes something along this line. Picard: greetings, I am Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. And you are? Thrawn: it's a pleasure to meet you, Captain. I am Grand Admiral Thrawn of the Galactic Empire, but you may call me Admiral Thrawn. Side note here, I probably butchered Thrawn's just name. If you know how to pronounce it, good for you. Back to the actual conversation. Picard: Admiral Thrawn, would you care to tell us where we are, as we are far away from our home and we were brought here under mysterious circumstances? Thrawn: my pleasure, Captain. You are currently located in a remote system of the Galactic Empire, specifically in the Outer Rim and extremely close to wild space. Would you mind if if I travel to your ship so we can speak in person, I will only bring my aides, 2 guards, and a pilot. Picard. No problem, Admiral. We'll beam you right over. Thrawn, beam. Picard. I take it you don't possess transporter. Teleportation technology. It allows for the new instantaneous travel between 2 locations. Quite beneficial. Thrawn. Fascinating. But I hope you don't mind if I take one of our own shuttles, at least until I can see a demonstration of this transporter. Picard. No problem, Admiral. You can land in Shuttle Bay 1. I'll transmit the coordinates. Thrawn. Thank you, Captain. If my shuttle is not able to fit in your shuttle bay, are there docking ports available? Picard. Yes, there are, Admiral. I'll transmit their locations to you as well. Thrawn. Thank you, Captain. I will see you shortly. End transmission. The transmission ends. Thrawn instructs his crew not to do anything to provoke the Enterprise until he returns from his meeting, but he did instruct them to conduct some passive scans to keep themselves occupied and see what they might be up against, but nothing, as I said, nothing to provoke an attack. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, Picard says, Counselor, Data, Worf, with me, Riker, you have the bridge. Conduct some scans of the ship while you're at it, but nothing to provoke them into attacking. Dr. Crusher, meet us in Shuttle Bay 1. We have some guests. That is so that way she can run scans of them to make sure they are not bringing any contaminants into the ship, because without using the transporter, they'll have to do it manually, which is no problem for the Enterprise as they have their facilities needed to do so in the Shuttle Bay. And then, of course, Captain Picard is doing this personally because, well, he's a captain. He's greeting a admiral on board his ship. And then, of course, Data and Worf, well, Worf for obvious reasons, and Data because why not? And Counselor Dan Troy for one simple reason, to reach Thrawn, to get his emotion, to see if perhaps he's lying or that. So, you know, that there are discussions that was just kind of to help you know if you're not a Star Trek fan. So that concludes today's episode of Versus. To find out what happens when Picard and Thrawn finally meet face to face, subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to get notified next week of the second part of this Versus matchup. Thank you for watching this matchup. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment down below. What did you think of this matchup, and what do you want to see out of the second part? Consider following me on social media to stay up to date in all that I do. And as always, have a good day or good night, wherever you are. Live long and prosper, and may the Force be with you always.